Hey, welcome to another episode of Muscle Matters. I'm here with the awesome Studley Fratwell.
Thank you.
Today, we're going to be talking about some of the things that could be possibly holding you back from achieving the look, the physique,
or even the health goals that you might have.
Bingo. Welcome to another episode of Muscle Matters. We're actually on time.
We are.
I think people are shocked. So if we get any live viewers, my bad, we're on time for once. Frap taught me how to run on Caucasian people time. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're on time.
Early, it's on time.
Like 10 minutes early. So what we're going to talk about today is some of the things that might be holding you back from achieving whatever it is you want to achieve. Frap is an awesome prep coach. What are some of the things that you think hold people back?
Yeah, you know, I want to say the biggest one that comes to mind is discipline.
Okay.
Just a lack of discipline. And it's not a knock, because in some area of life, we all have a lack of discipline, right? But lack of discipline really is, in my eyes, the root or just discipline in general is the root of achieving anything.
Food is the hardest drug to kick.
Food is. Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
We love good food. And good food is not always the best for us.
I mean, you think about why does Pepsi do what they do in the commercials? They crack that can open and let it fizz.
You can hear it. You can tell it's gonna be a cold beverage.
Yes,
you know?
Your brain's going, you know what?
Yep, I know what comes after that.
Okay, let's go get one of those.
It sounds really good right now.
So when it comes to dedication, a lot of times people think that they have to die in order to diet.
Oh yeah.
Break us down a little bit of ways not to die when you're trying to diet. Just simple.
Yeah. I mean, really, the first thing is, don't go all out right away. You know, if you just making small improvements and honestly do the easier stuff first. So, I mean, as simple as maybe you drink, Pepsi.
Get rid of the dark sodas.
Yeah. And maybe just switch to diet.
It's simple. Just dark sodas in general.
Yeah. Just switch it out.
Yeah.
Find another beverage that is lower or 0 calorie. I love teas.
Yes.
And swap that out. So you still the same fix, still the fixation of drinking or the habit of drinking.
It's like quitting smoking. When I was a smoker,
you just wanted to put
something wrong with my hand. It was, I quit and I was like, what do I do with this thing?
Oh yeah.
So, something simple like that. So dark sodas, I think once you, I used to be a Dr. Pepper king. I'm a pepper, he's a pepper, she's a pepper. That was my theme song. My daughter brought me a Dr. Pepper a couple weeks ago, and I looked at her like, where have you been for the last 20 years? I haven't drank one of those in a while.
Yep.
Have you ever tried to consume it? When's the last time you had a dark soda?
Oh man. See, and I'm more of a Mountain Dew guy.
Okay.
It's just childhood favorite, but I probably had a Dr. Pepper because that's if I go dark soda, actually I lied, root beer.
Okay.
I'm on a root beer kick.
Okay.
Try to stay with the diet stuff, but I love a good root beer. Last week
I had that dark soda and my stomach just went, and I was like, oh, so really? I mean, have you ever,
it sits a little
bit. Have you ever watched the TikTok videos on what you can do with Coke?
I've seen some of the weird, basically cleans off a penny or disintegrates a tooth or
and
whatever.
You're consuming that into your intestines, and you wonder. So you know what? I'm jumping ahead. You're wondering what's going on with your intestines. So I'm going to go to intestinal. Yeah. So a lot of things people don't realize is we get a lot of fat buildup because our gut is no longer has a healthy bacteria to it. Mm-hmm. So we no longer have a healthy gut. And it's because of processed foods. So take us down the rabbit hole of processed foods.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is typically processed foods lack fiber, right? And you do need fiber. There's a lot of studies on fiber showing positive gut health because it's a prebiotic, right? So your body breaks it down and it can create probiotics from that, which are really, as far as my knowledge goes in the gut, which is somewhat limited. Probiotics are really a key to having a healthy,
digestive system. So you can
bacteria
go
growth within it. Yep.
Those people that don't go poo, you probably don't have enough fiber in your life.
Yeah, that should be a daily occurrence.
And so the other thing that processed food do, and when I think about processed food, it's a giant spectrum of processed foods.
Yeah.
So we'll start with everybody's favorite processed food: McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell. These typically fried foods, so
highly palatable, highly calorically dense, right, and not made with the best quality foods
and deep fried.
Add seed oils and industrial oils on top.
Once you deep fry it, you're now stripping a patty that's not really a beef patty of what limited nutrition it has.
Yeah.
So you're ingesting all the things that are bad for your HCLs, the LDL, all the other cholesterols.
Yep.
You're just introducing stuff to that. And one of the weirdest thing is people will talk about being diabetic, not realizing that they're trying to avoid sugar, but it's this McDonald's, and I hate to keep beating on McDonald's, probably get sued.
But fast food in general, those fast
and at McDonald's, you're the king of fast food. So if I keep speaking your name, it's because you're the king. So when you see these fast foods, people don't realize that the grease is actually stimulating the diabetic. So tell us a little bit how the grease stimulates that release of insulin and it causes you to have a diabetic problems.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing with the grease and then just with the oils that they use to fry everything, it's super inflammatory, right? So your body's inflamed all the time. Your cortisol starts to spike or stay high, right? And then when your cortisol is high, your body is just secreting glucose. So you have, I mean, other than taking in glucose, your body's actually now trying to produce more through the liver and is shuttling it. So you're constantly in this inflammatory state, which we know is basically the precursor to a lot of metabolic diseases.
And so now you try to figure out why you have this bulging stomach.
We're going into visceral fat, right? So your body's starting to store the fat around the organs, which is really the unhealthy fat.
Weird. One of the peptides that I've been messing with, because I mess with all the different peptides that appear, and that is the tesamorelin.
I knew you were going to say that. Yep.
Tesamorelin is designed to talk about getting rid of belly fat.
Yeah.
But that's fat. So as belly fat being people of eyeballs, we think that it's getting rid of the fat roll.
No, yeah, it's really the fat around the intestines.
It's the internal fat that it's getting rid of. And that internal fat is a hidden fat that you can't even see. So if you're walking around with a jelly roll already, there's another jelly roll that's growing inside you.
Well, okay, so not taking the bodybuilding, but you'll see that in bodybuilding sometimes too. You know, when guys have distended guts, there's other reasons, but you might have abs, but you have a protruding
you've got the turtle shell.
And that's because you probably have a lot of visceral fat.
Yes. And even in the bodybuilding world, the phrase that people used to like to use is the dirty bulk.
Yeah.
I'm dirty bulking, so that's why I'm going to go to McDonald's, and
it's an excuse to eat whatever food you decide to eat.
Yes, and I wish I could go back and look at the young me and slap the taste out of your mouth. Dirty bulk doesn't necessarily mean processed fried food.
Yeah,
that means I can go to some place like Sorello's and sit down and have like home cooked pasta.
Yep,
and I can consume 3,000-4,000 calories because I am bulking and I'm not doing it with fish, tuna, and steak. I'm doing it with other things. So the word dirty bulk is not an excuse to go eat more processed food. I mean,
food quality should always be kept at a standard.
Yes. So let's talk about food quality. So the other thing that people don't realize about processed foods is frozen food in a bag.
Okay.
Anything in a bag has some sort of negative effect on the body because of all the sodium bit. What is it? Sodium bit. It starts with the B. Anyway, it starts with a B. It's a sodium that's in there that causes a lot of damage to the body, kidneys, livers, intestines. It's all the preservatives are in there. Most of the things that have been made into a bag have a lot of chemicals into it to allow it to stay on the shelf. So let's go down the rabbit hole of tell us a little bit about bagged foods and why fresh is better than a bag.
Yeah, I mean, well, there are some stipulations, but in general, bagged foods are already pre-cooked and a lot of time are stripped of nutrients. For example, let's say vegetables in a bag, right? They're pre-cooked, and you've probably already leached some of those nutrients out of there, and then you're about to cook it again. And then we can go into the whole, you're probably cooking it in the bag, which is plastics, and you're going to heat up the plastics, the plasticides and all the BPAs and everything else start to become integrated into the food, and now you're ingesting that.
Not to mention, fresh food already has, we know it has the wax on it, we know it has the chemicals on it.
Unfortunately, we find out more and more things about the AP, all that.
Oh, have you seen the TikTok about dropping a vegetable into a boiling water?
No.
I
would only imagine what's coming off of that.
You just pull it. It's just an automatic peel off of wax. Oh, but so you've got, so we're everything about everything's supposed to be preserved for longer shelf life, so there's more return for the dollar.
Yeah.
So you look at something, say like a Twinkie. A Twinkie has a shelf life of like 25 years.
Forever.
So, and we ingest that. We give it to our children. And I mean, I'm guilty.
Yeah,
I'm not going to argue with the 2-year-old that wants a Twinkie.
We can talk about everything in moderation is okay
Yes.
to an extent, but the question I always like to ask, and I always tell my clients to ask themselves is this going to help me achieve my goal, or is it just going to set me back?
Yes.
And then there's that middle ground of, okay, well, if I'm super, a strong calorie deficit, having one on a very rare occasion, that's not going to hurt you. But again, is it
Leg
going?
day.
Is
You're
it really
going to
help
burn
you,
Yes.
or should I use those calories on maybe just something else that still has sugar or whatever else,
Yes.
but maybe it's a quote unquote cleaner, healthier version of
dark chocolate is a great thing. Dark chocolate is great for the heart. It's got antitoxins. It's great for the stomach. Dark chocolate is a good way to go if you have a chocolate problem like I do. So I learned to eat dark chocolate.
Yeah.
It's very low in sodium. Most of them almost have a 0 count of sodium.
Yep.
It's a great way to go if you have a sweet tooth.
Yeah, and the darker the chocolate, actually, the higher the epicatechin content, which is actually metabolically enhances you metabolically. So you actually do get some mild fat burning effects from dark chocolate.
It's good for you.
Yep.
See, dark chocolate.
Eat
so
it.
a lot of times I think people, when they want to go on a diet, they want to emulate Ronnie Coleman.
Oh yeah.
They've watched one of their
They've
watched one of their bodybuilding friends tell them about tilapia and broccoli.
Oh yeah.
And starting my tilapia and broccoli diet. And let's go back to where you just simply said, getting something as simple as getting rid of dark soda, switching to a light soda, getting rid of a sugar soda, switching to a diet soda. If you've been eating fast food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're not going to make it on tilapia, and it's just not going to happen.
A couple of days.
So if you have somebody that comes in and they eat fast food all day long, what is something you tell them?
Yeah, I normally, let's just go off the 3 meals a day of fast food, right? I'm just going to tell them to switch one of those meals out for a home cooked meal.
Yes.
Right. And I'm not even going to be very specific. I'm just going to get some protein. So maybe it's your breakfast.
Yes.
Just make your eggs, even have some bacon, add in a couple extra berries or something like that, and eat that for your morning, and then still go out the rest of your day.
Yeah, and it's just simply, and as progress happens and they start seeing the change, like, oh wow, hey Eric, what if I got rid of my lunch as well?
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
it's progressive overload, but in a diet.
Yes, and you're actually jumping into you're going from a hot to a cold or a cold to a hot. You're completely shocking your body. And your body, believe it or not, these poisons that you ingest, and I say poisons because most fast food is poison.
Yep.
These poisons that you ingest, these companies, if you really ever go down the rabbit hole on how these companies set these foods up to make it addictive to you.
Oh yeah.
There's certain chemicals in there. I mean, we talk about stuff like what's the crazy drug they're putting in everybody's stuff? Phentermine?
Oh yeah.
Not phentermine, phentermine. It starts with an F.
Trying to think what you're talking.
Yeah, they put it.
It'll come to me.
They put in all the drugs, and it makes it twice as addictive. So
you're talking about a fentanyl.
Fentanyl, yes, and it makes it 10 times as addictive. So these companies spend billions of dollars to figure out how to make you addicted to their food.
Oh yeah.
So they have certain chemicals that you don't realize that are addictive to you. So
chemicals, and honestly, just combining. So if you think about body tilapia and broccoli, it's a very bland diet, right? So you don't crave that food because it's bland.
Yes.
So you want lots of flavor. So when they combine salt with sugar, with some fat and carbs, you have a recipe for an addictive food.
And then there's always some sort of secret ingredient on top of it.
And then the other chemicals that you're talking about, they put in.
It's just your brain is just having an epileptic fit because it's excited. I mean. Yeah. To this day, there isn't a grown person on this planet that doesn't look at McDonald's French fries and wants to go steal one from the kids.
Yep.
You go to McDonald's and get your kids some fries, you are automatically kind of like sales tax.
Yep, the dad tax.
Yeah, it's automatic, even though like this is crap and I shouldn't eat it.
Yep.
But it's just there. So what are some of the things you tell people? Like for me, I always tell, because a lot of people skip breakfast. Yeah. And I try to always explain how important breakfast is to starting the metabolic process, to starting your day, to increase your energy. Tell us how you feel about breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, I can see both sides of the coin, right? Because intermittent fasting has become a big thing over the last 8-10 years, right? So, I mean, there is actual legit literature for intermittent fasting. The thing with fasting, in my opinion, is it needs to be something you pretty much stick to. You're not going to get much benefit from fasting one day out of the week. Intermittent fasting, maybe how 24-hour fast is different, but yeah, I mean, basically, if you want to start your day off and if you're hungry in the morning, eat in the morning. Basically, it's kind of honestly how I go about it, right? I ask people, if they ever, let me go back. There's a lot of different ways I'll do this, right? So if somebody's trying to grow, I tell them they need to eat in the morning.
Yes.
Right? You got to start getting your calories in soon. Plus, the sooner you eat, you're going to have a little bit of insulin spike. It's going to come down, and then the blood sugar is going to drop eventually over a couple of hours, and you'll be hungry again.
Especially if muscle is a goal, because the first thing your body wants to eat is muscle.
Right. So you need to put muscle or put protein there right away.
And not to mention, your muscle is your body's natural metabolic rate. Everybody talks about this big word, metabolic rate. Muscle's metabolic rate. You gain 10 pounds of muscle, which is probably about that much muscle, ladies, so don't panic. If you gain 10 pounds of muscle, you burn like 500 more calories in an hour. I'd have to sit down and remember to do the math, but your body's actually burning more calories when you're resting. So when we talk about a guy like Ronnie Coleman, who's just a mountain of muscle, and you see him sitting down just pouring all kind of hot sauce and barbecue sauce and just plethora of food while he's prepping, it's because there's 300 pounds of nothing but muscle, and his body's just chewing through
and 3 hours of intense training. But besides that,
chewing through that. So we've got breakfast now. When you start taking away fast foods, do you give them healthy alternatives? Like, okay, cool. Because one of the biggest arguments I always run into is people say they don't have time to cook.
Sure, the convenience.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, which actually goes back to you were saying, what are some of those setbacks of reaching your goals? Yeah, not having food ready.
Yes.
Right. And that's a big one for me too.
The meal prep. People just think it's a word. It's literally preparing your meals. If you don't prepare yourself, you're preparing yourself for failure.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. There are healthy alternatives. Going along the quote unquote fast food alternatives. I love in town we have Victor's.
Yes.
I think their food, as far as fast food goes,
yes,
very good quality.
It's not. So if you're going to do fast food, I always say look for something that's not deep fried.
Yeah, absolutely.
Victor's flame broilers.
Even Waba Grill is pretty decent. You get some sauces, but
the Habit, they don't deep fry. They actually grill. Now you'd have to do your research on what type of patties they use. That's where integrity comes in. That's why I like more places like Victor's.
Yep.
These smaller Mexican restaurants where they cook and there's fresh food versus some of the Habit. I will lie to myself when I want to have a burger. I'll lie to myself when I go to In-N-Out. I'll lie to myself that these are better foods, but at the end of the day, it is a chain, and it comes on the back of a truck. There's a group somewhere that's making this massive, so the burger patty tastes like the same over here. So healthy alternatives, that's another way. It's a simple way. Just look for something. Applebee's, they got, what is it, 2 for $20?
Yeah.
I mean, that's cheaper than McDonald's, honestly, if you think about it. You can go to Applebee's
now.
Yeah, you can go to Applebee's and get 2 for $20. Two people sit down and have a lunch for $20, and that includes drinks. That's a great way to go. And you're actually getting chicken, steak. You get some broccoli. It's a good way to go.
And I think on the same route is picking the right foods off the menu.
Yes.
There's always bad food at every single place you go, or there's better and worse options.
Yes.
So foregoing my favorite one was back in the day when McDonald's was trying to be healthier and they brought out salads. But then the salads were still like 800 calories due to all the, they had the ranch or whatever else you're going to.
My favorite giggle is when people ask me, why are salads healthy? And I'm like, who said a salad's healthy?
Yeah.
It's just water and fiber.
Right.
I'm eating salads for my diet. So what are you doing for the rest of your body? I mean,
it's good to fill you up if you're not putting, the dressings on it or whatnot.
And one of my preps, my coach was like, you can eat all the lettuce you want, fat boy.
Oh man, that one hits home. Yeah.
I don't want to eat lettuce. Just keep eating lettuce till you're full.
Yep.
Because there's no nutritional value in lettuce other than it's water and fiber.
Yep.
Now, let's fall back to gut health and why it's so important. So a lot of people run into, you'll hear a lot of people talk about constipation and they're eating all these high greasy foods. So if you're eating a lot of greasy food, your body can't process it. So it's getting stuck. And so we're going to come back again to the bulge. It's getting stuck to where it can't get out. So
So, I mean, it goes back to, you're putting a lot of nutrients, not necessarily good, but you're putting a lot of food, I guess, substance into your gut, and you're not giving it the proper nutrients you need to help move it along.
Yeah. And the grease actually goes in there. Believe it or not, we have healthy bacteria that lives in our stomach. That's why you hear a lot of people talk about prebiotics, probiotics, and different things like that, because they're trying to restore their bacteria or keep their bacteria up. And the bacteria is what's actually breaking down the food and causing it to digest. So when you start consuming these greasy foods, it's killing the bacteria in your stomach. And so now even when you do eat something that's good, your body can't break it down.
Yeah. And actually, not to sidetrack it, but they're showing 90% of your serotonin, so your happy hormone,
yes,
is produced in the gut.
I mean,
so we talk about depression, anxiety, all these different mental symptoms.
One of my favorite quote unquote witch doctors, Dr. Sabai.
Yeah.
He's a black guy and he's got all these crazy different things, but everything he talks about is gut and mucus.
Yeah.
And it's all from the gut. And the better you take care of the gut, the more healthier you are. You don't really see a lot of sickly people that eat a good diet. I have an aunt. She's my Aunt Stephanie. She's what is she now? 73, former professional bodybuilder, still looks amazing. And Steph stopped eating processed foods years ago. She's still amazing. Skin's tight, still looks good. And somebody like that, she's complete healthy. Like she could probably run a marathon and deadlift 900 pounds. She's still very well. And it's just because she took care of her gut. So the better you take care of your gut, the better it's going to take care of your body.
Yep. I mean, again, going back to inflammation has a negative effect on your whole body. You mentioned skin.
Yes.
You know, that your skin will age faster the higher your inflammation is in the body.
And I'm going to bring something home to all you needle babies out there. I was a needle baby at one time in my life. If you wonder why your skin's breaking out, look at your plate. I mean, yes, you could be we'll get into another process of that, but a lot of times you've got a product that's already causing you to have more oil because you're basically a teenager on a ton of hormones, and then you're eating all this oily food. Chipotle, Mr. Mike Harvey wants to know about Chipotle. There was one time I really enjoyed Chipotle, and I really thought it was a great restaurant. Then I found out McDonald's owned it, and then McDonald's sold it.
Yeah, sold it back to the owner, I believe, actually. Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But you're falling into that national chain thing. Chipotle, I think.
For me, it's a middle of the road.
It's still.
I think it's a step up from McDonald's.
Bingo.
Not quite as good as some of the more, I don't know.
And the good thing about Chipotle is it's not deep fried.
Yeah.
That's always like one of the things I will recommend Chipotle, but if I'm going to pick between Chipotle or Victor's,
I'm going to go Victor's.
I tell my clients to go Victor's.
Yep.
Just because have you ever like eaten Chipotle and like bitten a whole salt chunk?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially on their chips. Man. I mean, not that.
and it is once again, it falls back to what we're talking about process, because this is a national chain that's moving their food along and they're trying to keep it as fresh as possible. And the way you keep food as fresh as possible is through salt. I mean, you look back in history, salt is what when they went across the sea, whenever they traveled, they had it wrapped in salt to preserve it. Salt is a preservative. So in order to transfer and fresher foods, you've got to have salt.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. I used to eat that stuff all the time.
Oh yeah. No,
first name basis.
I had the Chipotle over there on what is it? Gosford and Harris, pretty much. They knew they come up here. Your order was ready.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you want. And you make enough friends with them, you get the extra scoop.
Yeah, a double scoop turned into 3 or 4. Yeah, it wasn't panhandling to get the extra chicken off.
Now another thing I think that holds people back, and we're going to step away from food. I think one of the things that holds people back the most is sleep.
Oh man,
a lot of people do not get their sleep. They try to operate on 4 hours of sleep. And a lot of people will try to operate on 4 or 5 hours of sleep while saying they are being.
They always justify by being, I'm extra productive because I'm awake doing stuff longer.
Yes.
Or I wake up earlier and do stuff,
So
sooner.
If you don't sleep, you get more cortisol. More cortisol means you're going to have more inflammation. More inflammation means you're going to have more fat. So take us down that road.
Yep. Well, I mean, I think that hits the nail on the head pretty much.
Yes.
But, the other thing is you can't just track how long you're sleeping for, right? There's quality.
We'll come back to that one.
So we'll get back to that.
Yes.
So, I mean, sleep, other than essentially, I'm going to paraphrase, but it's essentially resetting your body, right? Giving your body the rest and recovery it needs mentally and physically.
And rest and recovery, let's just simply say something as simple. Your body can't repair its damaged cells without being able to shut down, because when we're moving, There's a constant movement, a constant. Your heart doesn't get a chance to repair. When you go to sleep, your heart is able to drop to a much lower beats per minute, so it can get a chance to repair. Your body has to repair. Babies grow when they sleep, so just think of it the same way. You're trying to grow new cells. So if you're not sleeping, I mean, you should be sleeping in a perfect world, you should sleep 6 to 8 hours a night.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody can do it, but if you're cutting your sleep pattern short to be quote unquote more productive, you're actually causing more damage.
Yep. And I think what you're going to say is you're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies.
Yes, I was going to let you say that.
Yep.
I know you like that one.
I love that one.
So
stand up for you.
Now we're going to go back to the type of sleep that you're getting.
Yep.
Most people have some sort of sleep apnea and do not realize they have some sort of sleep apnea, especially if you're you're overweight. It's
muscle or fat.
It's a 75% chance that you have sleep apnea. I've had my sleep apnea machine since I was 28, and the way my friend told me is like the weight of your chest is crushing you, and you just can't catch a breath.
Yeah,
so
you're literally not taking in enough oxygen.
And if you're having to sleep on your side, what you're doing when you sleep on your side is you're clearing your airway so you can breathe. When somebody is choking, the first thing they do is they tell you to turn them to the side to clear their airway so you can give them CPR.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about quality of sleep.
Yeah, I mean, so this is hard to track unless you're buying some of the devices like the Whoop strap or the Oura Ring. I'm sure there's a couple other ones I'm missing. And again, I'm not saying those are the best for this. There's also a cool mattress or Mattress Topical 8 Sleep. But long story short is there's basically 3 stages of sleep.
Yes.
Right. So you have your light sleep, which is stage 2. You have your deep sleep, which is stage 3. Or sorry, slow wave sleep, which is stage 3. And then you have your deep sleep, which is stage 4. And there's 2 parts to that. But REM sleep is within stage 4.
Yes.
So delta wave sleep.
Most people don't even make it.
Right. So REM sleep is what you get the least amount of just on a normal basis. And most people get very little REM sleep. And actually, just to put a note, sedatives such as alcohol, sleeping pills, and marijuana will actually prevent you from getting, yeah. So you can't get as much deep sleep as you need. So think of REM sleep, your super deep sleep, for lack of a better term, is your mental recharge and your mental basically where it's storing all these different memories and basically filing it away. And then you have your slow wave sleep, stage 3, which is more of your body's recovery. So that's what they call deep sleep versus REM sleep. So deep sleep is impacted by all these sedatives.
And the majority of society never makes REM.
Yeah. So, and again, REM sleep, you need to have uninterrupted sleep cycles to get, quality REM sleep.
Yes. And the better, like, I'm a huge advocate of sleep apnea machines. I have sleep apnea. I've had it my whole life. Never realized I had it. Once I got my machine, I was like, oh, is this what it feels like to sleep?
Yeah.
Like it's night and day. When you're able to get REM sleep, that's where you can get away with that 4 or 5 hours of sleep because you're getting solid, uninterrupted REM sleep. You're not snoring. You're not losing your airwaves. You're not doing some sort of shaking. Like when I did my sleep test, he said, Steve, you never made REM and you would have never got your machine if I wasn't watching you because you never made REM, because every time you started snoring, you made yourself mad and punched the air.
Oh, man.
So he said you were constantly moving, so the machine never had an interruption of your REM. So it looks like you slept peacefully, but watching you on screen and I'm watching you throw punches in the air because you're trying to punch who's ever making the noise and it's you.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
So if you have any sort of snoring, just know that you're cutting off your sleep waves. So you're causing your body, every sleep apnea is a mini stroke. You're literally having a mini stroke every time you have a sleep apnea. So anytime you're snoring and you get that, it's a mini stroke. Your heart, you wake up. I mean, how many times not knowing you wake up? I used to have these dreams. I used to wake up and be like, can't catch my breath.
Short of breath.
Oh my God, that was a crazy dream. Ooh, I'm gonna go get some water. All right, I'm gonna go back to sleep, not realizing that I had a mini stroke.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of on this topic though, a couple of habits or things you can do to optimize your sleep. One is try to have a routine as far as what you do leading up to sleep. Right? Maybe it's taking a shower. I don't do baths, but you can take a bath. You want warm water, and then basically your body will actually work to cool itself off which is going to go my next one, which is keep your house as cold as possible. But basically, when your body starts to cool itself off, it relaxes.
Yes.
So you're more easily going to get to sleep.
Now, you said make a sleep pattern.
Yeah.
How important is sleep timing? You should be able to sleep and wake up generally right around an hour of each other.
Yes. Yeah.
So especially if you're,
so yeah, that goes along with the routine. Exactly. Right. So you need to have a set bedtime.
If you're performing, if you're in some sort of performance, I mean, dieting, in life, general, blah, 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 you want to have a set bedtime. And it sounds like something an old man would say, but I started having sleep bedtimes when I started competing at 28. My friends would tell you I cut out.
Yep.
I was like, oh, nope, I got to go to bed. I need to get my sleep in. Sleep became the top of the food chain when I started trying to be a professional. When I was after that pro card, that was the top of my food chain. I didn't care who you were, what you were doing. I was going to sleep.
Oh yeah. No, I don't stay out of the house past 8 p.m. If it's 8 p.m., I'm absolutely home.
Yeah.
And I'm in bed. I try to be in bed by 10 p.m.
Yes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having fun here and there. Now, we're not talking about you being a fuddy-duddy, but if you're really trying to make a difference, you do have to be a fuddy-duddy. You have to be able to like, hey, look, I'm shutting down. I'm going to bed. And it's just the way it is because once again, the body, the closer you can keep a sleep schedule, the more your body's going to be able to go, this is my time.
Yep. And kind of along the same lines is everybody, we call them different chronotypes, right? So we have night owls, morning people, early birds, and then you have that's pretty much standard, which is kind of me, right? So standard is roughly you go to bed between 9 and 11, you wake up between like 6 and 8. Early birds are typically in bed earlier than that, a couple hours. They wake up a couple hours earlier. Then you have the night owls. So everyone has kind of, it fits in one of those three categories. So you don't have to have a bedtime at 10 p.m.
Yes.
per se.
You just want to schedule.
You just want to schedule
6 to 8 hours of sleep.
Yep. But if you're a night owl and you have to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to work, you probably are not going to be a night owl if you want to have optimal sleep. So, but that is the hardest one. I mean, that's second to dieting.
I remember when I was working in the bars, the last call, I was already popping sleeping pills.
Oh yeah.
I was
ready to knock out home.
They were, all right, cool. Everybody's out. Let me pop these and clean this place and I'm out.
Yep.
Because I wanted to get my 8 hours because I knew I wanted to get up at a certain time.
Yeah.
I need to get up at a certain time. I need to go to work at some time because people don't realize how much sleep actually affects. We'll just keep it. I was going to start going to the performance world. I want to stay out of that world and I don't want to always sound like a meathead. How much it interferes with the metabolism of the body the next day.
Yep.
Because if you don't have enough sleep, then you find out you're not hungry. You're sluggish, dehydrated. We didn't even talk about that.
We haven't. And I mean, that's
like
water around too. But yeah, water is, I mean, prioritize water. That should just be a staple for everybody.
You know, if the average person says they're supposed to have 6 to 8 ounces of water, if you're being active, you should have a gallon.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah. I think if I remember right, I want to say it's half an ounce of water per pound of body weight is kind of a standard. And then of course, depending on where you live, like if you're here in Bakersfield and it's 110 outside, you're going to need to absolutely increase that amount. If you sweat a lot, you're going to need to increase that amount. I mean,
I drink close to a gallon during my gym time.
Oh yeah. And I'd say that on plans too. I'm like, hey, I want you to drink a gallon and a half a day, drink a liter of water for every hour you're working out. Always can have more.
Yes.
I always put that.
Yes. There's, if you got to go pee, you got to go pee. If you drink too much water, it's going to pee out. Now, a lot of things I think, God, we're going to save the water conversation because it's a long one. Because there's a lot of guys that work outside and they drink 2 and 3 gallons of water a day because they work outside, and they lose a lot of salt content and they cramp more than they should, even though the amount of water they're drinking. So we're going to say that for next time. Eric, anything you want to talk about before we take off?
You know what, Steve? I think we covered a lot. There's always more we can do.
Yes.
But I think we'll save anything else for a later conversation.
Once again, if you guys have any questions, please leave some information. Check it out. Leave some information over there. Leave us a question. I hope you watch this video later on. It's you can find it linked to Frapp or myself. And I hope you guys find something. And if you happen to watching us on YouTube or Spotify, please leave something on there that you would like an answer to, or even a debate. I'd love
debate
to
or a topic
be told that we're absolutely wrong. I'd love to hear that.
Yep.
And if you would like to debate, I would love to have you come on the show.
That would be great.
Yes, I want to be wrong.
I'm open to discussion.
Yes. So once again, this has been a lovely episode of Muscle Matters. I'm Steve Southers, and this is
Frapp. We'll catch you guys next time.